pictures and photos from those ships. The basis for the SSPs had already been established in the 19th century. At that time Germany was the country with the best technical knowledge. The scientific and industrial field was flourishing. The Pleiadians decided to contact awakened people and to inspire them in building spaceships. So there were attempts in building those ships, but technically it was not possible yet. The Pleiadians contacted channeling media to broadcast information about the building of ships. In the beginning of the 20th century the attempt was successful with Maria Orsic from Zagreb. She received the information from the Pleiadians and Aldebarans, who are part of the Pleiadian group. Maria Orsic gave then the information to Professor Schumann in Munich. A prototype was built in 1923 in Augsburg with this information. This technical group was infiltrated by forces of a different opinion, which is known from history. At the beginning of the Nazi period, technique developed swiftly, and all those who misused the latest developments had access to enormous financial sources, fabrics and peons. In 1942 already a moon base of the Nazis existed. There they met beings who fought with them, the Draconians. The Nazis had been defeated, only few remained on the moon. When the WW2 was over in 1945, there were two factions. The more secret Gambler faction that had built underground bases on the planet escaped to Argentina, where from the Nazis moved to Antarctica. The second group was taken over by the repeatedly quoted Operation Paperclip into the USA. The best known representative was Wernher von Braun, who was head of NASA for a long period of time. NASA was established as a front organization to manage the SSPs secretly. By the time NASA started 1961 with space flights, big ships already flew around secretly. The Gambler faction had already been on Moon in the years 1944–1945 via Antarctica. After the WW2 they expanded in the whole solar system. They met the Draconians and made a pact about the first SSP and have been ruling the whole solar system and beyond since then. This cooperation lasted for a long time. The statements Corey Good made in this issue are real. This involves the so-called Dark Fleet up there. This is no science fiction, but actual knowledge. From the other faction, thousands of the German Nazis had been brought to the USA, scientists, technicians, people from the economic field. The official space programs were controlled by NASA under the leadership of Wernher von Braun. According to COBRA, there were different tendencies among the NASA employees, of which one created a positive space program. The controllers, however, tried to suppress everything. The official moon landing with Neil Armstrong was pushed through by the positive NASA members. Therefore the official moon landing was a visible success and an effort of the light forces on the surface of the Earth. But Wernher von Braun and his subordinates carried out several acts of sabotage that caused incidents and disaster. Another big success of the positive people within this area was the sending of Voyager 1 and 2 into the solar system. In the meantime, these probes have made recordings of all planets in the solar system, except from Pluto. In January 1986, objects that were obviously artificial had been photographed on moons of Uranus, and these photos had been published in the mass media. Again, it was not what the saboteurs wanted, and that led to the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger 2 days later, which took the attention of the masses away repeatedly. The photos and their importance fell into oblivion. Even when much is spoken badly about NASA, there are really good people who publish a lot. Positive forces within the U.S. military in the early 1950s was already a positive group in the U.S. Navy. The controlling forces suppressed the anti-gravity drive with all their power, although it was the main drive for most of the unknown flying objects on Earth. This positive group recognized that something went wrong and established a task force by which they secretly built their own ships. They had connections to people in the companies like Douglas, Boeing, etc. that usually build planes. From there they branched off components so that in the beginning in planes and spaceships were the same seats, for example. With these similar components they built spaceships and brought them into the Earth orbit. They were the founders of the Solar Warden SSP. Solar Warden grew and was expanded as a protection against negative aliens. It then was an official program and became too big and international. The Dracos infiltrated companies like Lockheed and Boeing with their own people to change the focus on the top level of the program. Then they needed a lot of staff, in other words soldiers, who have been told to be there for the safety of the Earth. With this the Dracos indeed created the possibility to invade. The group became stronger and their sources of capital were solely the black budgets. The first source was all the gold the Nazis robbed in Asia during WW2. Building of the underground bases and the construction of the spaceships were financed with thousands and thousands of tons of gold. As they became even more powerful they created their own secret space programs, as reported correctly by Corey. In this corporate conglomerate program several business ventures had been established as part of Solar Warden, to mine resources on the asteroids, found Mars bases and to use large-scale slave labor. In this context COBRA showed pictures, photos as well as artistic presentations, which are close to reality. He showed a NASA photo with a Solar Warden ship and a photo that captured a Solar Warden ship during the start on the Moon. Officially, the ships have to fly camouflaged, but on this picture the pilot was probably a bit lazy and pressed the button for cloaking too late. COBRA showed another photo that showed a fleet deliberately flying uncloaked in order to be filmed, which was also confirmed by Corey in the Kepler crater where a base of Solar Warden is located was located. Now about the second source. Collectively we all pay taxes, but how much is that together? The USA alone collects enough tax revenue to buy 10 million houses per year. Do they build them? No. Where did all the money go? It went into the SSPs, to build underground bases. COBRA showed an image of the Pine Gap base in Australia with several subterranean levels. The elevator moves down several miles, which of course was expensive to build. After the resistant movement has been clearing this base it had been shut down. COBRA showed pictures. What is mined on the asteroids? Diamonds. Many of the asteroids are full of huge diamonds, as large as the conference room, and there is gold to just collect. COBRA showed another photo taken by NASA which showed the asteroid mining, a building and the mine shaft. Since March the light forces have been cleaning the outer solar system where the dark fleet used to reside. The Chimera barrier is a huge fleet of spaceships with strangulate bombs. This fleet prevents the energies coming from the galactic center to enter the solar system. The light forces are now removing it. COBRA showed a picture. The light forces are clearing everything layer by layer because it had been built in layers over the last 25,000 years. The light forces now deconstruct this huge fleet. The ones from the Kuiper belt have already been removed. All these ships were disguised and therefore invisible for physical instruments. Questions addressed to COBRA: to what extent is Russia involved in the secret space program? Russia has its own space program designated by Corey as a no, like that is connected in positive cooperation with many countries and even with the Ashtar Command. The Dark Forces tried to overtake it in 1954, but the Pleiadians negotiated the permission to build a base on Bora Bora that is part of the galactic program. How much slave labor is still there on the bases? Almost everything has been adjusted. How old is Ashtar in Earth years? Ashtar is an ascended being that ascended 25,000 years ago. He has no age in Earth years. What happens with the Chimera ships during the clearing? The light forces enter the ship, the beings on it are sent to the central sun. Then the ship will be deconstructed. What is your opinion on the European spaceflight program? They are not infiltrated. They are not very successful but have good intentions. The light forces in the solar system, we just talked about the SSP ships. How do these ships disguise uncover? All ships have got a thin tachyon membrane on their surface. This ensures that all particles that come from the ship and come up against the ship make it virtually invisible, namely to the eye, all forms of technology and the radar. Even the energy signature of the ship cannot be detected, for example by techniques of remote viewing. Hence the ship is there and yet not there. COBRA explained that in the inner ring up to the Earth moon around the fleet of the Ashtar Command is stationed. Its purpose is the liberation of the Earth. As already explained, the Ashtar Command has contacted the human population as early as 1953/1954. a ship landed in the Edward Air Force Base in California and a meeting took place with President Eisenhower, the Jesuits and other high-level persons. The delegation of the Ashtar Command offered advanced techniques and spiritual progress for mankind provided that, however, all nuclear weapons will be destroyed. Consequently, the military freaked out and cancelled the meeting. Officially, Eisenhower had a dental appointment that day. The delegation of the Ashtar Command left the base. They expressed that others would come who were not that friendly and positive. These were the Dracos who have been infiltrated the whole political system, therefore all the politicians look funny today. Today great-granddaughter Laura Eisenhower plays an important role in the disclosure process. At the last conference, COBRA pointed out that just in these past days in March 2015 Putin was missing for a while according to the press. COBRA explained that Putin have had a meeting with the Pleiadians on one of their bases in Siberia. Within the cooperation with the Pleiadians, the Russian military receives progressive defensive technologies that, among others, were used in the Syria war. The Pleiadians advise for interventions and also for strategic questions. So therefore behind the good strategist Putin, as he is also called, there is the Pleiadian mastermind. Putin once had a deep spiritual experience with the Pleiadians. Because Soros was thrown out of Russia, he tried to take vengeance. As an approach to knock off Putin, the Panama Papers were published. The Russian media is allowed to openly speak about the role of the Rothschilds and about Soros. And the Panama Papers backfired on them. Furthermore, COBRA talked about the Ashtar Command, which in the 1950s tried to get in contact with developed beings on the planet. Unfortunately, this wowed the contacted persons like a messiah complex in the sense of Jesus will save the planet. The reality, however, is that only we as a whole will save the planet. Not just you or me, but we all together. After these attempts, the Ashtar Command had to change its strategy, namely so much so that nobody could act the part of a guru, or an individual could make himself out to be something special. Therefore they used channeling, and in the time frame between about 1980 and 1996 a lot of channelings with well-justified contents took place. But when the New Age movement has become popular, everybody channeled Ashtar. As a reaction to this, and especially after their invasion in the year 1996, the Archons had developed the Voice of God technology. It is an electromagnetically impulse that directly aims at synapses in the brain and is being aimed at certain people. For a good explanation of this technology, see the link below sitcho.blogspot.de web link. As a consequence, a significant distortion and a lot of disinformation arose within the channeling community, which led to the familiar and visible effects. Then the Ashtar Command had to change its strategy again. COBRA said that he could not talk about the current strategy, but it would amaze 99.9% of the population. It will be a huge surprise. The Ashtar Command still hides within the inner ring with ships in the size of 500 kilometers and more. The Second Fleet is stationed in the orbit of Jupiter. The intention of the Jupiter Command is to balance the energy of the solar system, to allow the energy of love and grace to infuse everything. The bases of the Jupiter Command are on the Jupiter moons, on Callisto, Europa and Ganymede, but not on Io, that is volcanic. On Ganymede there also is this huge center where from the dark forces are sent into the central sun. Also the Jupiter Command has an enormous string of vessels with sizes between 1,000 and 2,000 kilometers. Ships of the Galactic Confederation, who originate from various races of the galaxy and the galactic center, are stationed in the third ring. These very advanced races from near the galactic central sun have huge motherships of the size about 5,000 to 10,000 kilometers. They are not motherships in the proper meaning of the word, but biospheres, artificial ships of light, which are also portals that transform the light from the galactic central sun. The beings of the central race are those who Corey is talking about as sphere beings. COBRA showed a picture with Ashtar and considered it as the best illustration he could find. He shows a picture of Ganymede and emphasizes the Galileo area, the darker oval-shaped region in the top of the picture where the strongest light portal in the solar system is located. This points at the Sirius system and the other is pointed at the galactic central sun. This Ganymede region is the only place in the solar system which had never been conquered by the dark forces. It has always maintained the light. COBRA mentioned Mount Shasta, where the Ashtar Command has a very powerful presence. He showed a cloud ship picture above water of a physical cloud encases the ship, whereas the ship is not exposed. It allows the cloud to wrap around. In some of these cloud-specific structures of ships can be located, a kind of domes. The Ascended Masters are actually beings that went through incarnations on Earth and achieved ascendancy. They assisted with the planetary evolution. We all know them or know about them: Buddha, Saint Germain, etc. Surely it is a good thing to connect with them, but thereby an uncommon phenomenon occurs. They all ascended before 1996. Afterwards the situation on Earth has changed drastically, and now they need our experiences to learn how it is here. Only then they are actually able to guide us, if they can through our experiences take the other situation into account that is new for them. Different opportunities are known out of history. That the ascended beings have interfered successfully in pivotal moments of history. So they have manifested during the time of the Templars to be their guide. Saint Germain was present while forming the USA, whereas the Foundation Charter is one of the most enlightening documents on the planet. The energies of the ascended beings are so powerful that they have to dim them down or dilute them if they get in contact with us. Nobody in this room would survive their direct attendance. COBRA and Isis had a meeting with Ashtar at Mount Shasta while he was about 5 kilometers away, and his presence was still very strong, hardly bearable. Their temples are on the etheric level, for example in the Himalayas at altitudes of 5,000 meters and above. Then COBRA showed a well-known picture which now he described as a photo that he got from the Dragon forces. In December 2014 the goddess Dumu came on Earth with a physical body Isis portal activation and lives now on the surface of the planet to support the balancing of goddess powers. The Pleiadians are our sister race. If we would meet them on the street, we can hardly recognize any difference from our approach. They help us as much as they can. They supported certain people, such as Tesla. Their ships are generally rather small, up to 10 kilometers. COBRA showed a photo. One of their main bases is located on the Moon, and its purpose is to send positive energies to the Earth. COBRA displayed a photo of the Apollo mission of NASA and the same photo of last month, where the base is visible. COBRA showed another photo which he took during his flight above the stratosphere, at about a height of 14 kilometers, with a ship of the Pleiadians at greater distance. The Pleiadians have bases on Bora Bora on Earth, like mentioned above, and in the Himalayas in the border region between India and China at the Conchala mountain pass. Years ago there were numerous pilgrims in this area which took photos again and again. The Chinese military closed off this region because it got too popular. The Indian media published outrightly monthly reports at that time. The Syrians bring energy of joy to planet Earth. Before the quarantine the Syrians incarnated as whales and dolphins on Earth to stabilize the light grid in the oceans. They are really very intelligent and use telepathic contact. COBRA showed a picture of a Syrian mothership which is greater than 500 kilometers, a standard size as he said. Then he showed that such a ship has the same energy structure as a Taurus, yet it is not made from steel, iron or bricks. Instead it is an energy field that creates matter in the same shape as light beings have got one. The dying of the whales is being provoked by the dark forces. They use scalar technology to interfere their tracking and to kill them in this way. COBRA showed a picture of Syrians. The humanoid form is the most common in our galaxy and is applicable to about 70% of the races. About 20% are reptilians. The rest of 10% is spread on all further races. COBRA showed a picture of a reconnaissance ship of the Andromedans. He had seen just such a ship in a hangar of the RM. Later he found this picture on the internet with the same caption. Somebody who was aware of this must have been published this. He showed another picture of a Hokkaido ship of the Andromedans of a SSP of the Japanese. COBRA once again talked about Planet X. The orbit can be seen as red in the picture and is located on another level than the rest of the planets in the solar system. Planet 10 is hard to find for this very reason, because it has been sought mostly in the level of the ecliptic, the level where the other planets have their orbit. A young Brazilian scientist had done a scientific thesis in Japan about Planet X. This was suppressed by the mass media, as well as other available pictures. On Hawaii there is a huge telescope, and on Maui is being situated an immense U.S. command center via which the camera monitors the telescopes. In this huge computer center every picture is being controlled and censored what to publish. This concerns also pictures of Planet X, SSP ships, and so on. The dark forces want to twist the disclosure in their favor. So there had been published completely wrong data as Planet 9 about Planet X. A base of the light forces is located here in the Mersenius moon crater. In a report from September 15, COBRA mentioned that it now can be found on Google Moon. A Mexican once found it when he discovered this tower. Scientists now provide strange explanations for the shadow of this tower. The resistance movement RM is a civilization that lives like the Agartha in their own world below the surface of the earth. The population above the earth is not aware of this. A. Kirchner, a Jesuit, was one of the first people writing about the underground realms. In his book he published a map of the 16th century, which shows an astonishing accuracy. What he wrote is more comprehensive than science knows nowadays. For example, there is a sea which is located in Switzerland deep down under the Alps and supports whole Europe with drinking water. COBRA showed a picture of the areas in the underground. He said that they have got even seas, buildings and crystals in their environment. Then he showed another picture of a typical RM command center near the surface. An elevator as a gateway leads about 30 meters down. It serves as a lock like in a surgery where after they scan for nanites, microbes and so on which are removed to not introduce germs. He showed 2 further pictures of underground cities in the vicinity of Asia. Isis led us through the following subjects. I have tried to write down as many of her words and formulations as I could to bring the energy of the experience as much as possible to you. Indeed, I hope that this wonderful energy that we all have experienced shall reach you. The energy work during the conferences keeps a major role for the whole process of our transformation. Meditation and mantras in such a big group radiate a deep powerful energy. I did not mention all of them in my text. Antares the chalice of light. Isis Astara, if I open the door for the light, I am the chalice of light. With my body, soul and spirit. Our physical body limits us to the realm of space and time. The truth is we are multidimensional beings of divine light. The more consciousness we have, the more light is flowing through our bodies, so we grow and grow until we are the temple of light. To recognize our bodies as temples of light, first we let go of attributes that limit us in doing so. While we learn to let go of such, we begin to see our bodies with new eyes. Many terms we used in duality served as a tool to orientate ourselves, as for example masculine and feminine. To experience us in our bodies we realized ourselves as feminine masculine. Our bodies were created for our soul to enter into the physical world. We are divine sparks of light and this light fills every of our cells. With our expanded view we now can recalibrate our attitude towards our bodies. The chalice symbolizes the divine feminine, our body here on earth being a portal between dimensions. We have been created as women men and we now can both be a chalice of the divine feminine through our feminine qualities. The birth of life occurs through this chalice. New life as we know it begins in the womb as a spiral. The feminine body indeed is able to channel through itself life from another dimension to come here into the physical. Within the sacred geometry we see this process as the Vasika image above. This, for very good reasons, is considered and indicated as the miracle of life. It is an indispensable important task for women to learn to give themselves acknowledgement for this, as they are a channel to give life. For men it is essential too, equally, to dive into what that really means. To understand, appreciate and to truly support women. Especially now in the time of the return of the goddess it is crucial to bring the divine feminine energy into appropriate cosmic flow also in the masculine body. It must be their allowance for the feminine consciousness inside of the feminine and masculine bodies. The energy wants to go through it. We both are the mothers that gave birth to the new golden age by channeling the divine feminine energy. Let us just start by honoring and respecting the divine feminine energy in every one of us. As soon as this happens, the divine feminine and the divine masculine begin to move and old outdated patterns of both are being healed. Strong divine masculine energy needs strong divine feminine energy and the other way around. We learn to know how and why we need each other to come into balance. The divine masculine energies such as strength, courage, power, giving protection, action, etc. help the man to find himself and also the woman. This is due to the fact that when a man is in his divine masculine strength, he then is capable of supporting the woman in bringing her divine feminine energy to flourish. We can transfer this new understanding also into our own personal processes to the hidden aspects of both of these energies inside of us. The divine feminine energy is strongly connected with the physical body, within the senses and the emotions. When we are in balance, we allow ourselves to speak the truth, to be consciously awake, instead of being in the old pattern of fighting through our lives, to go into victimhood and to see everything as very difficult. May the participation at the Ascension Conference do its part, to help us understand how to exit the role of victimhood. In many of our relationships with ourselves as well as with others we were stuck in various conditions experiencing depression, lack of strength and feeling stagnancy in personal progress. All of this is encoded into our being up to the present time. Now it is time to exit that old role. The new energies, especially of the last few months, do not allow any of those games any longer. The energies are lifting us out of the drama. To be the chalice for the divine feminine and for the divine masculine means to be a master of our energy field. Thus we get to know the game. For leaving the state of victimhood in relationships, it is essential to master the now moment. The past is unimportant, the future has not yet come. So the only thing we can do is to master the present moment, no matter what the situation. There is no more reason for drama, no need to be aggressive or dominant. Why is this? After the end of the Maya calendar, the linear time has come to an end. Since the shift to the alignment with the galactic heart, we perceive time differently, like spiral energy. It is getting important for us to understand we must stop seeing our bodies as feminine or masculine only. As chalice of love, that we are, we give self-respect to our own beings and we change our perspective onto our bodies away from the materialistic view into the divine view. We are all parts of the same energy field, the same matrix. All our cells contain the divine spark, as all nature does. In the outer world more than ever before, everything each of us radiates manifests into reality. Now is the time for women to decide to truly respect the divine masculine energy, for men to decide to fully inhabit the sacred masculine and also to truly respect the divine feminine in women. It really is a decision. Men do no longer need to be afraid of women, of their power through which they are in position to birth life. The feminine body already is a divine chalice being able to birth life. Bringing life from another dimension down here is a huge act. Sometimes this elemental force can appear a bit threatening. Until now, on the one side men were afraid of that energy and they reacted with control and dominance, and on the other side, for women it is of the utmost importance to immediately stop to castrate men, to keep them weak by criticizing them to do or not do this or that. Men react to criticism by providing little support, which leads to more criticism. The chakras in our bodies have colors of the rainbow. The white light is a rainbow. Both bodies are sacred and they are portals for light. I am sacred equal the light is sacred. It is the same. As soon as we leave state of judgment and stop ignoring divine truth, we identify creation as the true essence. Isis notifies that we already know everything she is telling us. The new energies require us to leave the battle and the system in order to reconnect with our true nature. The law of choice, the decision. As I know I have the power of choice, I am able to bring back my power to create my life. Our lives are based upon our decisions. The law of choice needs our deeds more than words, more our activities, and to actively use the law of free will. If we want to be masters of the ascension process, we have to become masters of free will. Our free will of course has been dramatically suppressed in the past, so we escaped either into victimhood or dominance. Previously we did not feel ourselves as creators, we just said yes to things that brought us somewhere. Now is the time of learning to say no. Thus we are capable to leave every situation. Say no if you do not feel okay, Do not endure something or accept something that does not feel helpful for your true nature to rise. So, the question is, what is the right choice? As we are a chalice of light with our I Am presence, we are masters of our energy field, firmly anchored with our heart within ourselves. We must learn to connect with our inner director, our inner leader. By our free will and our inner director we step into light, love and abundance, our intuition guiding us. If we truly understand the law of free will, we have the chance to become true masters. For instance, if we do not know what to do, we have to learn to be very honest with ourselves and deciding from that place, setting borders. Please do all exercises saying truthfully yes and no. Mighty I Am Presence. We can read many books about I Am Presence. During the ascension process, earlier or later we will go together with our Mother Gaia through the process of experiencing I Am. Ascended Masters have introduced knowledge about I Am, that I Am we are all light of Creator, and confirm the fact being a divine spark by saying I Am that I Am. Numerous pieces of knowledge about the I Am presence have been given by the Ascended Master Saint Germain, who appeared to a wonderful man at Mount Shasta. Godfrey Ray King has written books about it and was enlightened later on. We are conscious sovereign beings of light. Our rights are enshrined within our chakras. See transcript from 2015 link recreatingbalance1.blogspot.de web link. Please read fully. Free will is strongly connected with our ascension process. By strengthening our free will we draw closer to ascension. Free will is anchored within our solar plexus. As we are each a chalice of light and connected with our inner director, and as we choose with our free will, then we are co-creators. This decision is being made with absolute honesty to ourselves. Freedom requires obedience, not to dogmas but to our inner guidance. Then we are free. When we listen to our heart-connected inner guidance, we have no more fears of our decisions. We will manifest peace. For those decisions we dive into awareness and choosing paths, focus and actions. By the decision, focus and visualization connected with I Am we create miracles. Every chakra has its element, and by the mantra its own sound. The sound of I Am is Soham. Soham originates from Sanskrit and the meaning is I Am. Together we chanted that mantra, and Isis said it is useful to repeat the mantras 3, 9, 27 times or more. Picture mandala. Saint Germain through a book teaches us that first we must give attention and awareness to our own I Am presence and connect ourselves with our own I Am that I Am before we connect with the Ascended Masters. This describes a way of approaching ascension. There are many groups exercising I Am together, and this is not something mechanical, but indeed something very energetic. Dear I Am presence invocations with feeling. If you wish to begin an invocation for help, start with Beloved Mighty Power of I Am, choose a command through the inner director to remove negative energy and end with so be it. The most important message we may take with us from the Ascension Conference is this conscious application of our free will. The light respects free will and does not allow interference. As we realize that we have been manipulated and cut off from ourselves, we can enter into zone of free will again by reconnecting with our own power. By our free will decision to consciously invoke forces of light, we receive support from them, as soon as we ask for it. When we are connected with our free will and invite them, they are allowed to help us. Please think about it, what we can do as a group to bring forth the liberation of the planet. Already during the conference we brought down the new energy and information and spread it with our powerful united field. At various occasions we meditated during the conference, and at this point we chanted an Atlantean mantra.